right, everybody. Perfect way to wrap up our week talking about investing in wine. Well, better way if we were drinking wine as we were doing it, but that's for another day.
Next best thing.
Exactly. Carol Master, along with Bob Avery of Bloomberg News, our Bloomberg senior editor. John Kapon, John Kapon is with us. He's chairman at Acker, Merrill and Condit on the phone in New York City to talk about investing in wine. I pulled up your fine and rare stock list, and I was thinking about Lafite Rothschild, or Rothschild. I don't know whether I'm saying it correctly. Latour, and there's one for about $1,000, another one for $2,100. You guys have an amazing stock list.
Well, thank you very much. Yes, we're America's oldest wine shop and also the world's largest wine auctioneer, so we like to have the good stuff around. I just had a 1990 Lafite Rothschild with lunch, actually, at Maria.
No, are you serious?
I am.
How much was it worth, John?
That's about $800 or $900 a bottle. I think the 1990 in particular, but some vintages of Lafite can trade as high as $3,000 or $4,000 for sure.
Yeah, also some bottles of Petrus that you guys have on your website. Tell me about the market, John, for investing in fine wine. We often talk about, especially this week, we had the Rockefeller estate auctions and, talking about art and some of the increases in value that we've seen, or even just the prices moving up. What have we seen in terms of wine valuations?
The wine market is absolutely on fire right now. I mean, it's just incredible what's happened over the past year. There's some estates and domains that have gone up, 40, 50% alone in the past year. And a lot of that value is being driven by Burgundy, which is one of the hottest segments. But Bordeaux is, of course, also an important segment as well, and they're increasing as well. And those are the two pillars of the market. But demand is global now. I mean, China is coming strong and really wants the best of the best, and they're influencing demand and prices significantly.
Is it the heavy red wines that are doing better than any other varietal?
Yeah, red wine, it's a red world when it comes to the fine wine market. I mean, there certainly are important white wines and champagnes, but red wine is probably 80% plus of the market.
And you think that the price rise, percentage-wise, is driven a lot by China?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no question. I mean, when China is 50% of our global dollars, U.S. is about 40%. So it really is, two superpowers driving the fine wine market when it comes to buys. But supply, Europe becomes a much bigger picture when you're talking about sellers. But China and America are the two big dogs in the room when it comes to the buyers.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bob.
Well, I was just going to ask if there's really a significant Chinese market, not market, but production of wine.
Well, not as far as our market. I mean, the Chinese, there is production of wine in China, and there are some regions which have been are really developing and growing, and there's some expensive wines coming out of China, $100, $200, $300 a bottle, but they haven't had an impact on the trading world, the commodity. They're not international commodities yet.
What do you see as some of the more interesting trends when it comes to the wine industry? I ask this because at the beginning of the year, Bloomberg put out this really interesting story, just talked about kind of some of the trends in the wine industry to come in 2018. The one thing they talked about, the rise of robots in the poshest of vineyards, and they included the Rothschild family vineyards. They also talked about big bottles being maybe of interest. It's kind of tied. They said if you see the stock market go up, you often see big bottles of wine of more interest. What trends are you noticing?
Well, I'm noticing a trend for quality and the best. The best of the best is really, I mean, it used to be the critics would rate a wine and the whole market would run to follow if this critic gave a high score to something. But now it's really the brand and the producer has become the real, entity, the real commodity. And I think you're seeing the market pay attention to the best brands. And you can have some producers kind of crack into that elite club over a period of 5 or 10 years, at a minimum to get there. But, it's really, if real estate is location, 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 wine is producer, producer, producer.
Who are some of the top producers?
Well, Domaine de la Romanée-Conti is the biggest and most important producer in the world. It's a Burgundy. It's probably 15% of the auction market. If you took DRC, as everybody calls it, Lafite, Rothschild, and Petrus, those three brands are probably 25% of the dollars at market. So you can see the strength of the biggest brands when it comes to fine wine.
Do you see that you're talking to a novice here about wine? I'm no connoisseur, so I'm going to ask you a really kind of mundane question. Do the best wines cost the most, or is there some kind of inflation that has to do with a certain producer that may not have as much of a quality as some of the others?
And John, just got about 25 seconds.
Go back 25 seconds. How so?
No. I'm sorry. We just had about 25 seconds for you to answer.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. Well, the best producers get the best prices for sure. I mean,
but are they the best wines though?
Market. Absolutely. No, there's a reason. People are not spending thousands of dollars a bottle for wines just because
to put on their salad.
Taking a flyer. They are the best.
Yeah.
Well, fun to talk. I love
That's
talking
great,
about
John.
wine. Yeah, good
Thanks.
stuff. John, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. John Kapon, Chairman at Acker, Merrill, and Condon on the phone in New York.